Sagittarius, maybe you've never believed in curses, but when everything starts to fall apart, piece by piece without any reason, when doors that were once wide open suddenly shut tight, when those who once supported you begin to turn away, do you feel as if something is following you? Maybe it's not just your imagination. Maybe it's a toxic thought sent by someone who once saw the light in you and simply couldn't stand it. In this video, I'm going to reveal the unmistakable signs that you may be under the influence of an energetic curse and how you, as a true Sagittarius, can break it, rise again, and shine brighter than ever before. If any part of this is awakening something in your heart, leave a comment below. I am free from the darkness, and I am ready to live my great destiny. Because that comment isn't just a declaration. It is a spiritual password sent into the heavens, to the place where the universe has already opened its doors, waiting for you. Now, let me take you deeper into every sign that what's crumbling around you is not because you are weak, but because a dark force has been planted in the vibrational field of a soul like yours, a Sagittarius soul. Are you ready? Don't look away. Because what's coming next might be something you never dared to believe. Have you noticed, Sagittarius? There are moments in life when everything seems to be falling into place, and then suddenly, without warning, without logic, a wave of breakdowns begins. Opportunities disappear. Doors you thought were open slam shut the moment you approach. People close to you begin to drift away. Relationships grow distant, cold. And you, a Sagittarius, someone who's always believed in light, in expansion, in endless movement, suddenly find yourself lost in a maze of unanswered questions. I know that feeling. I used to think my failures were my fault, that I wasn't patient enough, that I wasn't good enough, that I didn't arrive at the right moment. I blamed myself, I blamed destiny, I even blamed bad luck. But the deeper I went on my spiritual path, the more I began to realize, not everything that collapses around you is your doing. Sometimes, it's because there's an invisible force, incredibly powerful, that's trying to hold you back. Something that doesn't belong to you, but has found a way to live inside you. A resistance without form, but with a voice. And it whispers, stop trying. Everything you build will fall again. And that was when I began to question coincidence. Because when randomness repeats itself, it stops being random, it becomes a pattern. An energetic blueprint, a hidden map, sending signals to you. And if you are a Sagittarius, you will sense it long before anyone else. Have you ever been through something like this? You're about to sign an important contract, and suddenly they change the plan. You finally believe in a relationship, and suddenly they go silent. You have an idea that keeps you up all night with excitement, but the next morning you doubt it all. No one says anything aloud, but you feel it, crystal clear. There's a deep current pulling you downward, even though no storm can be seen on the surface. And that is the moment your Sagittarius intuition begins to speak. That uneasy feeling you can't explain. That subtle disturbance tapping at your mind as night falls. That lingering sense that something is off. I call it the interference of darkness, not magic. Not fairy tale witches, but the negative blessings, the dark thoughts, the jealousy and bitterness of others, accidentally or intentionally connected to your energy field. A curse doesn't always come wrapped in rituals. Sometimes, it's just a thought. I don't want them to be happy. I hope everything they try fails. And when those words are sent by someone who once knew you, someone who once stood beside you, they can strike your heart like an invisible arrow. And here's the bitter irony. You, Sagittarius, are the sign of the arrow, a symbol of forward motion, of flight, of freedom, but also a symbol that's easy to target. I used to ask myself, why is it that the most beautiful things about me are the things that seem to upset others the most? I tried to tone myself down, speak less, be more modest. But the more I shrank, the more I felt like I was suffocating. And then I understood, the light you carry was never meant to fit into someone else's darkness. It was meant to light the way for yourself and for those who are truly ready to follow. Not everyone wants you to fail, but their fear of your success can sometimes be stronger than the love they once gave you. If you've ever experienced repeating patterns, as if someone is watching or silently blocking your progress, leave a comment under this video. I'm seeing the signs, and I choose to step out of them. That one comment is the signal to the universe that you are ready to transform. And you know what, Sagittarius? No matter who that person was, no matter how convinced they are that you don't deserve a good life, they cannot touch you if you remember who you are. You are the child of Jupiter, the planet of blessings, expansion, belief, and wide-open horizons. You were not born to be trapped by the dark. You were born to break it open. Sagittarius spiritual block. Why everything keeps falling apart for Sagittarius. Spiritual curses and energy leaks. Sagittarius, Warner Prowess. So now the question is, what happened behind your back? Who was it that sent that curse? And why, instead of loving you, did they choose to keep you stuck in the dark? Next, I will tell you about that person, not by name, but by the energy signature they left behind. Don't leave. Because if you've ever dreamt of them, ever felt like someone was watching you from behind, then you've already sensed what they've spent their whole life trying to hide. Some people come into your life so gently, like a soft breeze on a sunny afternoon, and then they vanish without warning, leaving behind a space you can't quite name. And sometimes, those very people, the ones who knew you deeply, who once held you in your weakest moments, become the source of your darkest energetic vibrations. Have you ever loved someone so much, Sagittarius, that you forgot yourself? Someone you believed could see the light in you, but instead, they turned away, leaving you questioning everything you thought was real? No, they weren't witches. They didn't need rituals or spell books. They just needed a toxic thought, a word spoken in anger, a wish held in bitterness for too long, and that became an energetic dagger, silently piercing your field. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you so you'll know. You're not crazy, you're not weak, and you're not alone in this feeling of being pulled backward by something invisible. When the South Node, the symbol of old karma and past entanglements, passes through the 7th house, the house of intimate relationships, soul contracts, and reflections, many Sagittarians begin to feel it. Someone from the past, though gone in the physical, is still present in energy. Querfrang? That person could be a love story that never had closure, a friend who once meant everything and vanished without a word, a family member who once loved you but could never accept your growth. And the most painful truth of all, they didn't curse you because they hated you. They did it because they couldn't stand watching you move forward without them. I once had a friend like that. We grew together. We survived the darkest seasons of youth side by side. But then came a moment when I felt I needed change. A shift, a transformation into something better. I didn't leave with bitterness. I walked away quietly. And that person couldn't forgive the light I found in myself. Sometimes, the one you love most is the one who hurts the most when you start living your own life. Have you ever felt that too? Have you ever felt guilty for starting to feel happy while someone else remains stuck in their own darkness? If yes, then you already know what it's like to be bound by love that's no longer healthy. That soul-crushing guilt of not being able to fully rejoice in your own growth because you're afraid your joy might hurt someone else. But my dear Sagittarius, you were never born to imprison yourself in guilt. You were born to expand, to explore, to fly. And if someone cannot accept that, then they are the ones closing the door, not you. If any of this resonates with you right now, leave a comment under this video. I choose freedom, even if that means someone won't understand me. That affirmation isn't an act of rebellion. It's a spiritual release, a declaration that frees you from emotional ties that no longer serve your soul's evolution. But what if that person is still thinking of you? What if their curse, that dark thought, is still lingering in your field? How can Sagittarius break free from that energy and never be held back again? Let me share with you why Sagittarius is a soul that cannot be defeated and why that very light often becomes a target. Have you ever asked yourself, Sagittarius, why is it that simply being joyful, being free, being honest somehow offends someone else? Why does your natural optimism, your radiant energy, as effortless as breathing, make someone else uncomfortable? I used to try to understand that. I tried to tone it down, dim my brilliance, stay quiet when I wanted to speak, step back when I was fully capable of leading. Korfeinlerd? I believed that if I were just a little more humble, a little more silent, a little less visible, maybe others would feel more at ease. But then I realized a simple and painful truth. You cannot shrink yourself just to fit into the box someone else has chosen to live in. Sagittarius, you were born with a fire that cannot be hidden. Under the rule of Jupiter, the planet of expansion, truth, and limitless potential, you are the arrow pointed toward the sky. You are the symbol of a soul that longs to go farther, know deeper, live truer. And that light, even when you don't mean to, it amplifies everything around you. It highlights the stagnation in those unwilling to grow. It reveals the flaws others work hard to hide. It forces them to look at themselves, and if they're not ready, they'll blame you for what they see. That's where jealousy begins. Not because you did something wrong, but because your light is a mirror that doesn't lie. When Jupiter is in a strong position, transiting your first house, 10th house, or forming a trine to your moon, your spiritual light becomes unmistakable. But the brighter the light, the easier it is to aim at. Curses don't usually target the weak. They aim for the strong, who haven't yet learned how to protect themselves. Have you ever been misunderstood just for being sincere? Been called arrogant just because you dared to share your joy? Been avoided just because you refused to stay in someone else's comfort zone? I once lost a relationship simply because I was happy. I talked about the new things I was working on, the dreams that were unfolding, the joy that was finally arriving. I wasn't bragging, I was just being real. But the other person didn't hear me. They only heard the echo of their own comparison, and that made them angry. In that moment, I realized they didn't hate me. They hated the feeling of losing to a version of themselves they never became. They'll call it a glare. You're not always shining to light someone else's path. Sometimes you're just trying to see your own. But if someone isn't ready to see the light, they'll call it a glare. If you've ever been misunderstood just for being yourself, leave a comment below. I give myself permission to shine, even if someone can't handle it, because the most important approval doesn't come from others. It comes from your soul and from the universe, where your light has long been recognized. But what if that curse has already found your light? What if you've noticed that you no longer feel safe sharing, no longer feel brave enough to move forward? Then perhaps your energy field is in need of cleansing. In a moment, I'm going to show you how Sagittarius, a soul that was never meant to be imprisoned, can cut the invisible threads still holding you back. And this will be the moment you reclaim your full power. Have you ever wondered why, even after cutting contact, even after blocking every channel, erasing every message, even after trying so hard to forget, you still dream of that person? Still feel like there's a pair of unseen eyes watching you in silence? You wake in the middle of the night. No one's there. But your soul feels restless. A heavy energy sits on your chest, and you can't explain why. That's not just a feeling. It's your energetic field being disturbed by thoughts, words, or intentions projected onto you from someone else. In astrology, we call this a psychic attack through thought waves. It happens when someone sends low-frequency emotions toward you: envy, resentment, control, even unknowingly. And if you're in an open state, feeling vulnerable, lonely, or emotionally raw, that energy can slip in. It intensifies during Saturn retrograde, the planet of karma, control, and inner restriction. Especially when Saturn moves through your 4th house, roots, family, or your 12th house, subconscious, unresolved past. It also appears when Pluto, the planet of deep transformation and hidden power, transits your 12th house. Pluto doesn't destroy you. It exposes everything you've been trying to hide. And if someone in your past once manipulated you emotionally, Pluto will pull that wound to the surface, not to punish you, but to make sure you no longer bury it. I lived through that season once. Everything in my life slowed down. I didn't want to talk. I couldn't find joy in my work. I even feared the sunlight in the morning, and I didn't understand why. I wasn't sad. There was no obvious reason for my light to dim, until I checked my chart. And there it was, Pluto retrograde in the 12th house. That's when I understood this wasn't just a personal phase. This was a spiritual detox. Keywords: Sagittarius Pluto transit, 12th house psychic attacks, Saturn retrograde karma. Did you know, Sagittarius? When negative thoughts are strong enough, they don't just bounce off your energy field and disappear. They look for cracks in your chakra system and lodge themselves there. They clog your intuition. They cloud the source of your inner light, and eventually they make you doubt your own glow. Does this feel familiar? You're no longer certain of your intuition. You hesitate to open your heart. You reject new opportunities, even though deep down you yearn for them. It's not that you've grown weaker. It's that your energy field is carrying what doesn't belong to you. So now, be honest with yourself. Do you still dream of that person? Do you ever catch yourself mid-task, feeling like they're thinking of you? If yes, type this in the comments. I'm feeling it, but I won't let it define me anymore. Because not every thought is yours to carry. You are not required to hold someone else's energy just to prove you're a kind or forgiving soul. You have permission to release. You have permission to disconnect. You have permission to be at peace. But how do you cut that connection? How can you, a Sagittarius with an arrow of light, avoid being bound by the black threads of someone from your past? I'm going to guide you through a simple ritual, right in your own space, to cleanse, cut the cords, and return to the sacred expansion you were born for. It's time you understand this, Sagittarius. You don't need anyone to rescue you. You don't need a hand from the outside to sever the invisible rope that's been holding you down. You are the one who holds the sword of light. And in this very moment, after all that you've felt, endured, and risen through, you are ready to break the curse yourself. When Jupiter, your ruling planet, forms a trine with the sun, it opens a golden window for you to return to your most original strength, the expansion of the soul and sacred trust. Jupiter doesn't just bring opportunities. It is the amplifier of the cosmos, igniting your light to such a degree that darkness has nowhere left to hide. You are a Sagittarius, standing in a vast field of darkness. Around you are invisible strings, woven from doubt, guilt, hurtful words from others, and unanswered questions. You bow down, your hand reaching for an old bow. But as you pull back the string, the arrow in your hand begins to glow. Not with the magic from outside, but with the light of your own heart, a light you've forgotten for too long. You grip that arrow tighter, and with one deep breath, you let it go. Whoosh! The arrow flies through the darkness. It slices through every energetic thread that was holding you. Every ghost of a painful memory, every curse of envy and resentment, every feeling that was never yours to carry, now crumbles into dust. Because you chose to move forward with your whole heart. And that is something no one can control or extinguish. No darkness is strong enough to drown a soul that has chosen to walk toward the light. No one can control a soul that has learned how to trust itself. And no curse can survive once you choose your own freedom. If the image you just saw made your heart tremble, Write this below the video. I release my arrow of destiny, beyond the curse and into my freedom. Let the universe see your clarity, because what you choose with your soul will be honored by heaven as a sacred vow. Not because someone forgave you, not because they took back the curse, but because you no longer exist on that energy level. You've left gently, quietly, and powerfully. But once you've stepped out of the curse, the bigger question appears. How do you protect that light so it never dims again? And how do you create an energy field that is safe, sacred, and unshakable for your Sagittarius soul? I'll guide you through a ritual of cleansing and protection, so that from this day forward, every step you take is expansion, never repetition. So pause for a moment, Sagittarius. Take one deep breath in and let it out slowly. You've come so far since the beginning of this video. You've had the courage to face the unnamed pain, the silent shadows that once lived in your heart. And now, it's time to cut the cord. Not through anger, not through revenge, but through light and forgiveness for yourself. We'll enter this ritual together. You don't need to prepare anything. Just find a quiet space and bring your heart open and ready. Now close your eyes. Place one hand over your chest where your heart still beats for life. Feel that heartbeat. It isn't rushed, it doesn't judge. It's just there, quiet, steady, like the light within you since the day you were born. Now imagine in front of you a flame, cobalt blue, the color of healing, the color of faith, the color of Sagittarius, when your soul returns to its true frequency. That flame does not rage. It is quiet, gentle, deep, like the compassion the universe holds just for you. No need to analyze them. Now look into that flame in your mind, and every hurtful word, every cold glance, every unspoken sentence, place them into the fire. You don't need to analyze them. You don't need to hold them like evidence. Just return them to the light. Picture an old figure dissolving into smoke, a sad memory leaving your cells, a weight of guilt evaporating, becoming light. Breathe out, release it. Breathe out, hold nothing back. Breathe out and become transparent. I do not need their forgiveness. I need my own forgiveness for holding myself in that memory for too long. You were not wrong for loving them. You were not weak for being hurt by them. But you are strong because you chose to let go in peace. And now, imagine an energetic cord between you and that person. A thin, invisible string that still holds old emotions. Take your cobalt arrow, your Sagittarius arrow, and cut it. Once, decisively, no resentment, no regret. Stand up in your mind and walk away from that place. No need to look back, no need to explain. You've already left. And if you feel this truth rising in your chest, write down below, I have cut the cord, and I choose peace. That is your sacred signal to the universe. It is a vow to your soul that you will no longer live in cycles. You are stepping into a new destiny line. Maybe one day they will return, but if they do, you won't be there anymore. You stayed until the very last moment, and that was no accident. Not everyone has the courage to listen to the deepest layers of their soul. Not everyone has the strength to face the darkness that once broke them. But you, Sagittarius, you did. I don't know where you are right now in your journey. You might be starting over. You might be lost. You might be carrying a goodbye, a betrayal, a grief you can't put into words. But I know this. You were not born to collapse. You were born to be reborn. Under the light of Jupiter, your ruling planet, every pain you've endured can become fertilizer for a greater destiny. Jupiter doesn't come to keep you safe. Jupiter comes to make you larger. And when you choose to take a step, even when your heart is trembling, the universe will step with you, one step at a time. I want to thank you not just for listening to this video, but for allowing me to walk beside you in one of the most sacred moments of all. The moment you let go, set yourself free, and stood back up again. You may have never met me in person, but I believe, on some vibrational level, we've already met. because only souls vibrating at the same frequency can find each other in a destined moment. Write this below the video. I am reborn today, under the guidance of Jupiter. No one can hold me back. Let that sentence be the key to your new doorway. Let it be your sacred confirmation, a signal to the universe that you are ready. And if this video has touched you, help it reach someone else. Like, share, comment. Because maybe right now someone out there is also carrying an unnamed curse, and all it would take is one spark like this to awaken them. Sagittarius, you are the light no one can extinguish. You are the soul no one can cage. And from this moment on, you are the one who fires the arrow of destiny into your own radiant future. We will meet again on a higher frequency, in a newer chapter, as a freer version of you than ever before. I'll be waiting for you there.